Ready?
Yep.
3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome to Unlocking the Magic. You're listening to episode number 305. We're grabbing the keys today to unlock the mailbox and answer your questions.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Yeah, we get a lot of questions, whether that be through email or Instagram, Unlocking the Magic Podcast on Instagram. And we're going to start today with our Patreon friends' questions.
If you pay us, we'll answer your question
That
first.
is 100% true. So if you want to join us in Patreon, go to unlockingthemagic.com/Patreon. Get some extra podcast episodes, hang out with us inside of our private Facebook group, and we'll answer your questions first on the show.
That's how it goes here.
Yeah. I'm excited for the show today. I love these Q&A shows.
There's a lot of different questions too today.
I have my questions right here.
Oh my goodness, you have a printout of it?
I printed them out, wrote my answers down, so I'm prepared today on the podcast.
Who are you?
I'm not sure.
And what have you done with Bruce?
I'm not exactly sure who I am today.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. I don't even want to tease you anymore because that is amazing and I want to keep going.
Let's do it.
All right. The first question, we have a lot of them, so I'm going to be talking pretty fast today.
Okay.
All right. This one is from our friend Jesse. Other than price, amenities, and features, what's most important to you when picking a resort? For me, it's the theme. So how do we pick resorts normally? Like, what do you suggest?
I just go to whatever resort you tell me to go to. That's usually how I pick them. Connie says, Bruce, we're going here. And I say, okay.
I mean, the wife is the neck, right? She can turn the husband's head no matter in which direction. But all in all, I would say theme for us is the most important thing. And I always say that to other people. Obviously, you have to have a budget in mind. You know, some can't afford. Many times us can't afford to spend deluxe category. But I think more important is the theme because you're going to be immersed in that scenario the entire trip. So if you're not in love with the theme is going to be make or break your stay because part of that is too like cuisine, the
Yes.
foods at the, you know, if you're staying at the French Quarter and you don't love beignets and
Wait a second. Dude, if you don't love beignets
you might not
for
love
days, you can't listen. Stop listening to this podcast right now.
yeah,
Please.
or maybe let's say jambalaya or
Maybe you have I'll give an exception if you have like a dietary need and you can't eat beignets,
Okay.
all right? Because a lot
Fair
of people,
enough.
but if you just like don't like them,
right.
I don't know about you.
That's fair. But I think the theme, I think that's the most important thing. And I think I tell people all the time. I mean, I've had a few not so great experiences at a Disney resort and had nothing to do with the customer service. It had nothing to do with the cleanliness. It was really just, I wasn't into the theme at that part of my life.
I want to think about the theme, but I also want to think about the location.
Yeah.
And, you know, amenities, how do you get around depending on if you're going to rent a car or if you're going to take the Disney transportation? Like, how are you going to get back and forth to the park? That always factors into the decision that we make. All right, theming obviously is number one. Where do you want to stay that you enjoy and you like the theme? Then next would be coming, all right, what parks are you going to go to and how is that transportation? How are you going to get back and forth to those parks? That's the second factor for me.
All right. I like that. Okay. Next one from LaToya. Let's talk car rental.
LaToya is amazing. She's very active in our Patreon group, and I love that.
She has some great questions
She
for
does.
us. So she says, what's the cheapest and easiest
Easiest what?
for a car rental?
Oh, I don't know. I think we use budget, and I feel like it's maybe not the cheapest. Like every time I go and look online, there's probably cheaper ones for me, but budget always, like once we signed up for the fast break for budget, I mean, I don't really want to talk about budget, giving them a free plug here on the podcast.
I mean, we like it if they decide someday to.
If you work at budget, you know what? Let's give us a free rental or something. We'll give you a lot of listeners to listen to your plug here. But we discovered the fast break from budget, which allows you at the Orlando airport to kind of go across the street and just get your car 10,000 times faster than waiting in the line at the downstairs part. Like it's in the garage itself. It's
waiting for you. Like it's been one of the easiest pickup situations I've ever dealt with at any airport. You literally just walk into the budget area. Your hopefully pamphlet is right there with your name. You grab it, your last name, and then the keys in the car is waiting for you. You literally can't get easier.
If you're from budget and you work there, please turn this off at the moment.
Why?
Okay, I would pay more money to get fast break than I do regular because it's so much more convenient than regular. All right,
what's
you
your
can turn
time?
this back on now.
What's your time worth, right? But also, I feel like yes, it might not be the absolute cheapest, but when you tack on fees, so a lot of the other rental companies have what's called like a fee, so you can only have one driver, and that annoys me because I want to be able to have you drive, I want to drive, and I don't want to have to decide at that moment and then have to pay extra for those fees. And then I always say go on the budget website, look at coupon codes, or right on there, you kind of have to navigate. I'm sort of obsessed with and really good with it'll take me like a good week to actually book the rental car because I will literally take the time. I will adjust it by 30 minutes. So for pickup or drop off, and then it definitely shaves.
That's awesome.
I'm really good at that. Okay.
Next one.
From Haley. Episode idea: how to avoid arguments with your family at Disney. I feel like it's a real problem to get a little testy out at the parks, and it isn't talked about as often as it should be. We're short on sleep, it's hot, our feet hurt, half the group is on their phones, hopefully not, the whole time, which they could have done at home or for free. We're burning tons of calories and our blood sugar is low. The backpack is getting heavy.
You know what? I was thinking about this question. I saw this, and I didn't like talk to you about this beforehand, so you may be a little worried what I'm going to say, but it's going to be fine.
Okay.
What I think people should do is when they're on vacation, you should pretend, and I don't know how people like hang out with each other on their birthday. But in our family, like our birthdays aren't about gifts. It's about making that person have a good day and like being super nice to them. I feel like when you go on vacation to Disney World, if everybody pretended it was everybody's birthday, it would make it where you wouldn't argue, because when it's someone's birthday, even if they do something wrong, you never call them out on it because you're like, that's their birthday today, I'm going to let that one go.
That's actually one of the best ideas you've ever had.
Because it gets tense, right? Either that or separate.
Yeah, which is hard. Like sometimes you really can't if you have really young kids. Like we have the luxury right now where our kids are finally at an age where they can together go off.
Yeah.
And we find that there is a time, notably between the hours of 2, 3, 4 o'clock, where we're not necessarily hangry anymore, but we all need sort of like a reset.
Yeah, it's like that part of the day where it's you've been up early, you've eaten quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're starting to feel a little lethargic, but you know you have the rest of the way to go, and it's like that point in time where you need to hit the reset button almost, or the pause button at least.
It's a great time to head over to Tom Sawyer Island and just kind of chill out.
Yeah. Start a podcast, because then you're hyper aware of everybody looking at you, and you never argue.
That is true.
Yeah. If you start a podcast like us, you
walk a little bit differently.
We're constantly like, if there's ever an argument and we have to go somewhere where we know there's nobody around.
I actually have seen another blogger. I don't think they are a podcaster, but I've witnessed her in an argument with her significant other in line, and I'll never forget it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing that you'll never forget it? Like, is that exposure for her?
It may or may not be. It wasn't a good. I mean, I felt bad for her because it was a lot of things that she probably already knew, to kind of take a minute and just kind of compose your thoughts. But it's hard.
It happens. We're human beings. Like sometimes you're in the moment and something just annoys you, and you've had a long day, you're tired, maybe you're hungry, and you just like forget where you are.
Yeah.
But remember where you are. You're in the happiest place on earth, and you know it's
technically most magical if you're.
I'm thinking about Disneyland. Okay. So sorry about that. We're getting better, but that's the one place I talk about all the time, is we constantly, for a long time, we would argue at Disneyland. I think it's too about when you're in Disneyland, it's new for us, so we're not familiar with it. Whereas in Magic Kingdom, we're very familiar, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of like, where are we going next? Or where is this thing? Or no, it's over this way. Right. We're very comfortable and know what we're doing. So it's pretty easy for us to kind of maintain. But like, here's a short answer. Pretend it's everybody's birthday in your group, or start a podcast. Next question.
I really like all those ideas. I would say also, to add to that, is just make sure that you kind of take in mind that even though you're on vacation, if you are used to a certain schedule at home, and I talk about this with kids a lot, because it's really hard to take them out of that environment and expect them to be great 24 hours of the day or whatever. 10 hours at the parks when they usually are used to a 1 o'clock nap. So just remember that even adults, teenagers, they need their sleep. Okay, next one.
That was a good ad.
Oh, thank you. Best places to eat on the boardwalk.
Wow. I don't know. I think that for me, what do you think?
First of all, the boardwalk is a must. I love going there. I don't have to always eat dinner at the boardwalk. We often just grab a snack and just kind of hang and people watch on the boardwalk. One place that I've been dying to go to, it's not necessarily a place like a dinner place, is Abracadabra.
Yeah, we've kind of walked in there and looked around, but we never really hung out there.
I really, really want to go check that place out. But there are plenty of places to eat. Beach Club. There's, I'm not just thinking about the boardwalk itself, because when I mentioned this to our daughter G, and she goes, Mom, I really love ESPN.
I was just going to say ESPN, underrated burgers there. Like if you just want a quick burger and get something to eat and you know that there'll be availability pretty quickly, ESPN is like, especially if you have kids that are into sports, it's a great environment, a lot of visuals, a lot of things to look at while you're there, and I think it's kind of underrated.
It's underrated in the sense where it's not necessarily a place that I think stands out in your mind to book a reservation or whatever. Like it's one of those places where you can walk up, get in, and enjoy a good meal in a really great setting.
Yeah, you're like going to book reservations, like, oh, ESPN's available.
Well, Yachtsman Steakhouse is at the Yacht Club, and that one I would say is one of the most talked about for those that really get their Disney dining. Like,
is that technically on the boardwalk?
I'm going to say it's on the boardwalk. It is in a resort, but it is a place that I feel if you really if you're a meat eater and you really love steak, this is the place I feel that stands out.
Yeah.
Other than that, if you just want to casually hang out, I feel like the Boardwalk Bakery, to me, grab your lunch, grab your dessert. And
grab a sandwich, grab a cinnamon roll, grab everything. And a coffee and a drink and sit outside and kind of people watch while you eat. Mm-hmm. For me, if I'm going to choose one place, it's probably going to be either ESPN for a quick burger, because I don't know if I want to walk all the way over to the hotels if I'm at the boardwalk.
Well, the hotels are on the boardwalk.
Yeah, but they're further than you think.
Okay.
We're
not walking.
The beach club and the yacht club is a little bit further away than you think it would be. Although maybe you need to walk off those calories after. But for me, I love the Boardwalk Bakery.
What about all the amazing restaurants at the Swan and Dolphin?
That's true. I don't know. We've
like Blue Zoo. Todd English's Blue Zoo is a place that just architecturally, like visually, it looks like a place I want to go.
I feel like that place out of my league a little bit.
Maybe it is.
I'm not going to lie.
Maybe. Okay. Fair.
All right. I'm going to read the next one.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes. Are we going in order here? Because I just want to make sure.
Constantina.
Oh.
Would you rather Monorail or Skyliner, and why?
That's a great question. Thank you for using my formal name.
You're welcome.
Okay. I am going to choose Monorail forever, because nothing wrong with the Skyliner. It's beautiful. Takes a minute for me to get over my fear, especially there's a few bumps that I don't enjoy while we're up, I don't know how many feet in the sky.
Yeah.
Monorail is always going to be my number one, because to me, the monorail is the most unique form of transportation. It still feels so cutting edge and so futuristic. It's always going to be monorail.
All right, well, I'm going to choose. I have two different scenarios here. Hear me out. I know it's a would you rather, and they asked me which one I'm going to choose, but I'm going to give you two different scenarios.
Okay.
If I'm with people, there's no way I'm going anywhere near the Skyliner.
Wait, with people other than your family?
Yes, with other than my own family. Like if they say, Bruce, you can go on the Skyliner, but we're sticking other people in that box with you, I'm out.
Got it.
I'm out. Mm-hmm. But if there's no people on either one, because the monorail, eventually there's going to be people because there's stops. If you can let me go with my family on the Skyliner, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I totally was different about a year ago, but we went on with our own family, and I thought it was an amazing ride. What a view. I got my Joffreys. I'm having my Joffreys on there. I got a nice ride looking over the property of Disney. I thought it was pretty interesting and neat. So no people, Skyliner. People, nowhere near the Skyliner. I'll take anything else. I'll take the bus.
Okay. I feel like that was a very Bruce answer.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next one. Ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Pick one attraction to relax on.
Ooh, my favorite.
Which one are you going to choose?
Oh my goodness. Without a doubt, Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. That is beyond, it's the perfect blend of everything Disney. It's got the cool way of moving, like similar with the monorail, right? It's got this futuristic vibe. It's relaxing, yet there's something to do visually when you're on there. So I could literally ride the People Mover probably a few hours a day and be so happy.
I'm going to go outside the box on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to choose Tower of Terror. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to choose Tower of Terror. That's not very relaxing, especially with you. It's kind of stressful. Yeah. I was going to say People Mover, but I'm like, you know what? I knew you were going to say People Mover, so I'm like, why am I going to say the same thing she's going to say?
Is that just a given, do you think?
I think that's when you think of relaxing on an attraction, not sleeping. Like people say Carousel of Progress so they can go in there and cool off and take a nap.
No sleeping.
Not doing that on the People Mover. What about the Safari in Animal Kingdom?
You know what? That's a great one because actually, I don't know if... that's a good one. I kind of thought you were going to say that, to be honest.
I feel like you get, like, it's maybe a long way, but if you can get a fast pass when they come back and you get on there and you just get your own bench with your family and you just, like, kind of sit back, let the tour guide tell you about the animals and just kind of take it's got to be a 10 or 15 minute ride when you're on there and just be able to, like, relax and look around and see all the cool animals. I feel like that's pretty relaxing.
Yeah,
it's like a more exciting way to relax. Even though it's relaxing, you don't want it to be exciting.
Right.
It's relaxing but visually stimulating versus the People Mover.
I feel like the only thing that the People Mover would, to me, I'm just super obsessed with like technology, and so when I go through the People Mover and then you go through Space Mountain, I feel like that's just so cool. And
the People Mover is very steady, right? Like you're not bouncing all around,
right?
Like you are in the Safari, so it's a smoother ride. So if you want a real deep relaxing sensation, go on the People Mover. But if you want to relax but still kind of see stuff, you just don't want to be bothered that much, Safari for me is the second tip.
I feel like this next question is more for me.
All right, well, then you answer it.
How do you decide to plan all of the reservations for Disney trips? So I'll just answer that real quickly.
Okay.
It's a little different now because in the years past, how I planned was based on park hours. A lot of it had to do with like if it was extra magic hours, I wouldn't want to be in certain parks that day because that typically meant the park would be busier on that day. So I would try to avoid that. Beyond that, it's kind of planning reservations to me is first I plan on what days I'm going to be visiting the park and then I figure out like how I want the vibe to go. That's really how we decide. But also I like to, and this is beyond like the actual technical of it, like I like to ask the kids and I like to ask, believe it or not, Bruce, and see what we're all in the mood for this particular trip. And if there's a place that we, there are places that we love to go to, but is there something different?
You always try to pick one new thing that we haven't done before.
Yeah.
And ask us. That's kind of what you ask us. The typical things that we like to do on every trip. But there's always a couple new things. Like, what are we going to try differently this time? Maybe it's a restaurant or it's fast passes or something like that. It's always something cool.
Okay. So I jumped in there. Do you want to read your list or do you want me to keep going?
Where do we leave up? All right, here we go.
Okay.
Here's a good one.
All right.
I got my handy list here.
I love it.
Favorite sit-down restaurants.
Ooh.
What are your favorite sit-down restaurants? I'm assuming in Disney World.
Yes.
On either the hotels or in the parks. Let's pick let's pick a couple. If you have a couple or your favorite, what's your absolute favorite restaurant?
The food's not great, but the Sci-Fi Cafe is my Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, not cafe, is my favorite. Again, with the sci-fi, like what's up with that? Why
we wearing a NASA shirt. So.
What is wrong? What is right with me? I guess, right? And then beyond that is going to be in Epcot. I always talk about Tangerine Cafe.
You do.
I just love it. It's just so good, and I feel good when I eat it. It's almost like a good treat for everybody because it's a filling meal, but we don't walk around feeling too lethargic after.
Yeah.
So that would be it. I hope it never goes away.
I like those.
Okay.
So I picked a couple. I picked the obvious Liberty Tree Tavern.
That is a good one.
I like that one. We talk about that quite a bit. But I picked two that we haven't talked about quite a bit.
Okay.
Sanaa, Animal Kingdom Lodge.
So good.
I love that place. We've been there quite a few times. The bread service there is amazing.
You guys have to try that because it's not, the flavors are different, but they're delicious. Like it's not something that should, if you're not into
you don't be intimidated by it.
That's what I mean. It's really good.
And then another one I picked that we've been to once or twice. It's kind of pricey, but it's good. Boma.
Yeah. Boma's good.
Again, an Animal Kingdom Lodge. Animal Kingdom Lodge on the underrated side of the restaurants
I
there.
think because you go in with these certain expectations, maybe it's like too unique, or you're not going to enjoy those types of flavors because you're not used to them.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of like Morocco in Epcot, where it's different, but it's so delicious.
We've been to Boma a couple times. We went for Thanksgiving one year. And,
Yeah.
you're like, Thanksgiving at Boma, but it was awesome.
It was really good.
So my favorites are Liberty Tree. If you give me any restaurants right now, this is today. This may change in the future.
And that's a good thing to point out, because I notice some of the things that we talk about, like, it really goes on our mood. I feel like we change our opinions every year sometimes on certain things. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to change my opinion on the sci-fi unless, they could literally give me a plate of rocks and I would probably eat it just because I love the atmosphere so much.
That's awesome. So like, today, Liberty Tree Tavern, must do for me. I love it.
Yeah.
And then Sanaa and Boma, I'm in that mood. We just went to the Animal Kingdom Lodge in our last visit, and I loved it, and I wish we went to these two restaurants.
The bread service is so good at Sanaa. Okay.
All right, here we go. Here's another one. Constantina, favorite Walt Disney quote?
Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome. I have no formal name.
You do not.
My name is just Bruce.
I kind of want to make up a formal name for you.
Because,
do you? Yeah. Favorite Walt. We did I believe we did a show just about this.
We did.
A while ago, because there's so many quotes. And actually, one year, one of my favorite things is when we went as a big group, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, to Walt Disney World. I had an idea of making t-shirts, screen printing t-shirts with a Disney quote on our back. So and it was 11 of us, and we all had to pick a favorite quote.
That was cool.
And it was cool because it was all quotes that kind of like went with our personalities.
Yes.
There are just so many great quotes. But the one that I always I don't know if it's my favorite because I have so many favorites, but the one that I keep saying lately is just keep moving forward. Like, I keep saying that over and over again. I think it's important nowadays. You get into this rut sometimes, or feeling like sometimes, it's hard. Like, we're talking to this microphone. Sometimes it's hard to remember that there are actually people that are being affected by listening to our show, right?
Yep.
And, that's where I love your messages, by the way, you guys. But you have to keep, no matter how you're feeling, you got to keep smiling. You got to keep moving forward. So that's kind of the one that's been stuck with me lately.
I love that one. That's a great one. The one that I always go back to is one about adversity. It says, all the adversity I've had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a good kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you.
Yeah.
And especially after 2020, I feel like this quote goes along with what we talk about on the podcast so well, that no matter what happens to you, and it goes along with your quote, keep moving forward. No matter what happens to you that you feel like is horrible or bad, it could be a good thing in the long run. And sometimes you need adversity, you need obstacles, because that's what makes you push through and get stronger. If everything was easy, people wouldn't get as far as they could, I think.
I don't think you would appreciate it if things were easy. I think it would not, I don't know, push you to your limit, right?
Yeah, obstacles are a good thing. Adversity is good. It's good for you to have a little adversity in your life, or have some obstacles you have to overcome. It makes you stronger, and I love that quote. And I think that that's what Walt stood for. Like, he had a ton of obstacles. Everybody looks at Walt Disney Company now and they're like, oh man, that's a great company. But in order for him to get started with it, it was almost obstacle after obstacle. Everything he did, the first movie, the first cartoon, the first character he ever drew, the first theme park, the second theme park, everything that he did, there was always obstacles that he had to overcome.
Can you imagine that, though? I mean, being in his position of, and that's the philosophy that I keep sharing, but being in that position of doors constantly closing, but you have to remember that they close for a reason, and that there are better things coming, but you can't be complacent.
Yeah.
You got to keep pushing.
So don't worry about the adversity. That's good for you, but keep moving forward.
I love it.
They go together.
Okay. Can I do this next one? Because
Absolutely.
we skipped it. It was kind of in the beginning, so I don't think it's on there right now. But what is your favorite moment waiting in line?
When they say, how many in your party? Because that means I'm done waiting in the line. That's literally my favorite moment in line ever.
It could be your favorite and worst, because sometimes if you would say 5, they would say, oh, nope, move aside, please. When
we say we went with our extended family and we got to the front of the line and they're like, how many? And like 11. Not one time were they like, yep, come on in.
Never.
They're like, wait a second. Step aside, please.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get to the front of the line and they say, how many in your party? And I say 5, and they're like, yep, go ahead. That's the best moment of my life.
I love it. Is that for real though?
Oh yeah, I don't have a ton of great memories in line. That's for real my favorite moment ever.
I would say the favorite moment waiting in line, one being watching my kids. So there's one memory I have 3 years ago where we're waiting for, I believe, the Carousel of Progress. I think I have a video of them. And all of a sudden, so we're in Tomorrowland and we're waiting, which, you usually don't have to wait in line for that. So it was kind of like a gift.
It must have been when they were moving it.
Yeah, it was meant to be, right? And all of a sudden, the three girls just kind of broke apart and danced. And they just kind of did this unique, almost so choreographed, like they had been practicing, but they hadn't. It was just like in the moment, they just took the vibe of Tomorrowland and the music, and it was so amazing. And I just knew like they were just so happy. And to me, that was an awesome moment. And then the second one, personally, waiting in line, it was when I was 8 or 9 years old and I was waiting in line with my cousin for Space Mountain. It was the best ever. Watching the rockets go, best ever.
There was one time we were in line for Tower of Terror and we were waiting in line. It was a little rainy out and I reached into my pocket and I remembered I had almonds in there. Glazed almonds. And it was like, this is the best moment. Not only am I going on Tower of Terror,
yeah,
but I found these glazed almonds in my pocket.
It's life-changing.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next question.
Okay. Absolute best memory from a Disney park. So a memory that, I mean, I know we have a ton and we've talked about.
I mean, we talked about a lot of them.
Yeah, but it's always funny to revisit, I feel like, this question, because there are, of course, people that are just finding us now.
Yes.
And I also think like sometimes you kind of forget, oh, you know what? Like, let me go revisit this and remember these moments. And I love that, especially in 2020 when we were stuck. And I mean, we're still kind of stuck, but that was what kept me going forward, is going back and remembering all my fun times at the parks.
What is your favorite memory?
My favorite memory, I think, has to be, so he's in a park, right? So
mine's not in a park. Mine's in property, but not in a park.
Okay, so my ultimate one is not in a park as well, but it's on property. So I'm going to skip that. And okay. I'm just going to say in a park, it was Magic Kingdom. And it was the time where we were all kind of stressed out, like Haley's question. We were kind of angry and not getting it. And I remember just kind of like taking a time out. I literally was in front of the castle and I said, guys, we have to stop, like look around. And it was that moment that just, it gives me chills because it was special.
That's a great moment. I remember that actually. You were like, that was with everybody, right? Our whole family. Was it just us or
it was just the 5 of us?
Yeah, we just took a chill pill and just kind of sat down and just looked around.
It was awesome.
Mine actually similar to that. Mine was when we first discovered the Polynesian Resort on our not first trip, but our first trip as a family of 5. Yeah. We were not staying at the Polynesian. We were staying off property actually, but we were like, you know what? Let's go wander around the resorts. Yeah. And it was like a weird time in our life when...
Weird. I like that. Weird time.
It was a weird time in our life, and we just discovered like that we enjoyed Disney, and we got to the Polynesian, and we were kind of just hanging out. We were faking it till we made it.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't afford to stay there. We weren't staying there, but we were pretending we were staying there. We didn't go in the pool because I didn't know pool hopping was a thing then.
It's not a thing now, Bruce, please.
Not to you, lady. It's not a thing to you.
We're going to get into
There's
trouble.
A group of us, secret pool hoppers. You know who you are. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says secret pool hopper. Actually, I can't wear that because it won't be a secret.
It won't.
But anyway,
I can't.
We weren't doing that. We were just kind of hanging out at the resort, which they allow you to do. Mm-hmm. Got a coffee, sitting on the beach. That was before the cabanas were made, and there was like this peninsula that went out onto the lake.
About the peninsula.
And you could go up there on a hill. It was a little bit out of the way, and just sit there and watch the fireworks from the Magic Kingdom. And that was the best memory I have of watching fireworks. There was nobody really around. We were staying. It felt kind of like we were staying at the Polynesian, but we technically weren't.
Oh, we made ourselves at home.
Yes,
like we were. Yeah,
we just discovered it, and that's when we kind of fell in love with Polynesian.
Right. Well, our daughter, her middle name is actually derivative, like a Hawaiian name, and it just hit full circle for me once we got there, and we all got our lays and we got our fruity drinks, and Bruce with his coffee, of course, but we. It was special. And I
loved it.
And I remember we didn't even know the fireworks were happening. It just sort of all unfolded together. And it was just like...
We didn't know anything. We were very much Disney rookies.
We were. We
were on property almost like we didn't know you could like go to these resorts and do all of the stuff if you weren't staying there. So it was kind of like we were sneaking around even though we didn't need to. Yeah. But it felt great.
I love it.
Next one.
That's a really special memory. Okay. How would you retheme Rockin' Roller Coaster, assuming the track stays the same? So just the theme itself. How would you do it? Not to start any rumors here, because I think a lot of people...
Did we talk about this before?
We had lightly talked about it, yeah. I just want to make, there's nothing really happening. I don't want to make people nervous. I know how... First of all, Aerosmith's from Boston, so we kind of have to...
I don't know, but I don't know what this new Thor movie, Love and Thunder, is going to be.
So excited
but I feel like after watching the last Thor movie, right, Ragnarok, the retro music that they had for Ragnarok, I feel like you could do a Thor... like when they were going through the big hole there. I don't want to say the name of it because this is a family show. But when they were going through that, and like they could make a Rock and Roller Coaster like Thor Ragnarok theme and play like all of that old school retro music, I think that would be pretty cool.
I literally almost just hummed a tune, and you guys do not want to hear that, but that is...
Who is the guy that you like in that?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Yes, one of my favorite actors.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, thank you.
Like Jeff Goldblum could, like, you walk into that room and instead of it being Aerosmith, you can totally see Jeff Goldblum, like, hey, like something like that. I could totally see that. And then like you get on the Rock and Roller Coaster and it's like just plays that retro music from Ragnarok, and you kind of go through like that devil's,
place.
Yeah. I think that would be cool.
First of all, how cool is Jeff in that movie?
Super cool.
Obsessed with him, actually. He's amazing. I can't believe I lost his name there for a second. You put me on the spot and I just went blank. But yes, I love that idea.
Jeff Goldblum, phenomenal actor, not a great host of a TV show.
You don't like that show that on Disney Plus?
I just don't think he's great for character acting.
He's such a character.
He's almost too awkward when he's talking to a real person in real life. It makes you feel uncomfortable.
Maybe we need to revisit that show before we make any kind of,
Maybe.
All right. Because kind of want to...
What about you? What would you retheme it to?
I have said this a lot of times, which, by the way, Avengers, I don't know if it's ever going to get over to Hollywood Studios, so...
Oh, that's why it's like an idea. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
If I could do anything I wanted, that's what I would do.
Maybe they could do it where it is Avengers, but it's like on the down, you don't really tell you, so they can get away with it. Maybe. I don't know.
It'd be the Revengers.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's it. I think I've talked about this, but I just want a haunted limousine tour. Like I want a haunted kind of, not so much haunted, but something from the Tower Terror, mix it with Haunted Mansion collaboration. That's kind of where I'm going.
I like that.
All right.
Next question. What favorite food you can't miss besides Tonga toast? I'm out on this question.
So we just did a YouTube video about this.
Yeah, go check it out, our YouTube channel, by the way. We have a new video that comes out every Tuesday, 8 p.m.
Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. It's been a lot of fun so far. We're not live, but we're comment live. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, we hang out in the comments and give you some reasons to comment with us and win a t-shirt maybe. Okay.
So we did a whole bunch. And I think to me, the one thing I didn't talk about on that YouTube video is the chicken and waffle.
I know. I'm going to say fruit waffle. So you're saying chicken waffle. Go to Sleepy Hollow in Magic Kingdom. It's
like I always have to get it. So
well, this is that's the question, right? Yeah. Like this is the one thing that we have to get, or not. We have to get every trip. We always get either one chicken waffle, one fruit waffle.
Some experiences are better than others. Sometimes you don't get the best. You get a soggy waffle. Unfortunately, it happened. But it's good. Yeah. All right. Next one.
Oh, I'm reading it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
Okay, here we go. Let me get my paper right here. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to concentrate here.
Focus. I know. I put you on the spot.
Would you rather visit WDW 20 years ago or 20 years in the future?
Ooh, that's a really good one. So 20 years ago. So I think I would want to know what it's like to go to the parks before we had kids. I think we talk about this all the time, and having folks that ask us, hey, what would you do as a couple? And I think we would just it would be a lot more freeing not to worry about the kids with us. And back then I was a lot more like a daredevil. So I think I would try a lot more things, and I would probably be expensive because I would probably want to do things that, the extras that they talk about on property that I've always wanted to try.
I think I've already been there 20 years ago. I want to go 20 years in the future and see what they come up with next.
What do you think? And if you could pick one thing in the future, what would it be that you think would be at the parks or at the resorts, or what do you think they would come up with. I mean, look, Disney has to stay.
20 years from now,
Yeah.
they could probably bring you into an attraction that virtually brings you 20, 40 years prior.
So you
could almost be 20 years in the future, but feel like you're 20, 40 years ago.
Oh, I like that.
So I think they'd do something like that. There's a lot of VR coming, I think. So
Okay.
that's what I just want to see what technology they have, what kind of attractions they can come up with. I know what 20 years ago for me wasn't that long ago.
True.
So I know what it was like. I've been there. If you said 40 years ago, maybe, because I never went.
Right.
But 20 years ago, I went to the parks about 19, 20 years ago. I remember what it was like. It wasn't that much different than it is now.
I mean, there were a lot of things they didn't offer, but I think, yeah.
20 years. I feel like we're at a point in time where 20 years in the future, technology-wise, is like what happened the last 100.
It's going to go so quickly.
Yeah, so like you think of what happened in the 60s when Disneyland first started compared to what it is now. I feel like that's going to 10x in the next 20 years the way we use technology now. So imagine what they can come up with in the next 20 years for attractions or things to do.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would love that.
All right. Next one. List 2 must-dos on a first trip to Walt Disney World. 2. Just 2.
Okay, mine's must do is something to not do.
Way to change the question, but go ahead.
So you must not park hop.
Okay.
That's it. I only got
Fair
one.
enough. No, why not? Why shouldn't you park hop?
You know, in your first trip, you're already kind of trying to navigate and figure out the whole park.
I agree.
If you've never been before, it's overwhelming going to Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 2 parks in one day, like you can, as a Disneyland or Disney World rookie, like you can barely manage 1 park in one day.
Yeah.
And then you're going to throw another park on your day, and then how to get in between those 2 parks, and you've never done it before, but you've read a couple blog posts.
Yeah, you're going to get lost.
That's
You're
just
going to
not, that's not a recipe for a good day.
That's a way to get annoyed with your family.
That's a recipe to get annoyed with your family, even if you pretend it's their birthday.
Yes.
So I just think that people overextend themselves and try to do too much just because it's their first time. They want to feel like they did everything, and it doesn't ever end well.
My 2 must-dos that Bruce did a must-don't, right?
Yeah.
Which is
You
good.
I must do not park hop.
Yeah, I like that. Mine are stay on property. No matter your budget, I think you can work it out because even the value resorts, they're very comparable to off-property hotels,
Right.
I believe. Stay on property to get that real Disney experience, in my opinion. And number 2 is try some of those restaurants. Go out of your box and try some of those restaurants that you may think are unique. Really, I think is a good idea because dining is what Disney does so well too, and really the theme, and it's a whole experience, and I think you should try it.
I agree. Those are good ones.
Thanks. All right.
How many more we got?
We have got 3 more.
All right, let's get them. Let's rapid fire them.
All right. You get to be, this is not a rapid fire. You get to become an executive of 1 Walt Disney World park, full creative control. Which park would you choose? What would you do?
This is a tough question.
This is not a rapid fire. This is a tough, you got to think, let it marinate for a minute.
Any Walt Disney World park or any Disney park?
It says Walt Disney World Park.
Okay. Well, if I'm executive of a Walt Disney World park,
Full creative control.
What would I do?
I'm nervous, actually. What Bruce would do having full I would love to see it, actually.
I would immediately put a couple more Joffrey's kiosks available so we don't have to wait in line so long. No, I don't know. That's a really tough question. I feel like there's so many things. Like my first reaction would be like, all right, I want to do Epcot because there's a lot of things that could be improved there, but I feel like they're doing a lot of things there.
That was my first thought. If Epcot wasn't finally going through their transition of refurbishment and really getting back to old school Epcot is unlike anything you've seen.
All right,
I can't wait to bring you to the newer Epcot.
I have one.
Okay.
I would do Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
And I would continue to keep Hollywood Studios as the movie park and incorporate more of that Hollywood Studios in like more shows like Indiana Jones, maybe like National Treasure one.
Yes.
But like more like that. I feel like I like the behind the scenes of movies sometimes more than I actually like the movie itself.
We talked about this just last night. There's a show on Netflix that I've been binge watching. I don't know. It's been around for a while, and I can't believe I haven't watched it. It's not Disney, but And Bruce just couldn't get into it. And then we happened to watch a documentary of them filming the series. And he said, I loved listening to their story. Now I want to watch that show.
Yes.
I want to give that show a shot.
So I think that's what I would do. I would do Hollywood Studios, but I would incorporate, Toy Story Land and Star Wars Land. I know it's not called that, but that's what I call it.
Yeah.
I enjoy. Those are great. I would incorporate more Indiana Jones style of shows so that people could kind of see what it's actually like to work on a movie or the behind the scenes of how they create some of those movies. That's what I would do.
I feel like you're buttering me up because that was a question. That was an answer that I would have said. I
just thought of that just now.
I totally agree with you. I think that there's so much movie magic that happens, and opening up that door, especially to the young generation, to really show them what it takes to make a movie, and just all these amazing techniques that they do. Even now, even with all the technology that we have nowadays, they're still pushing the envelope. They have to, right? So I agree with you. And I would also want to do a lot of what Walt talked about, is really just be with the people, ride with the people, experience the parks and the attractions and what we could do to improve it. But the only way you can know that is being a Disney fan, right? You can only improve something or I feel make something better is if you really love it and really want to experience as the guest. And I think that I'm not saying that it's that's lacking nowadays, but I hope that those that are in creative control right now do have that opportunity and use it in their philosophy every day.
Yes.
So, okay, next one. This one's easy. Where was your first Disney resort stay?
Was it the Poly?
It was the Poly. Yes, I know. We were fancy. We saved up.
Yeah.
And, we, after that memory that you discussed of being on the peninsula and watching the fireworks, we said, that's it. We're going to make it work. We're coming back here. We're going to do what it takes. It kind of gave us fire in our souls of, like I talked about, keep moving forward. Yeah. We were kind of in a rut at that moment.
It gave you a goal. Like, you need goals. Like, it gave us a goal. We went there that trip and we're like, our goal, it wasn't the next year. It was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. Mm-hmm. It was, our goal was to stay at the Polynesian. And we worked, ever since we left that one trip, we worked every day in order to be able to make that goal happen. And we did it. And it was awesome.
It was awesome.
And we love the Poly ever since then. Maybe that's why. Maybe the Poly has a little bit of nostalgia feeling for us because it was the first resort we stayed at. It was really kind of where we fell in love with Disney, and our kids did as well. And maybe that's what it is more than the actual resort itself.
Yeah, like we definitely love the theming, but I think it was the full package for us of why we keep going back or trying to go back.
All right, last question.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the actual last question, but I'm making it the last question.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
If you guys could change anything at one Disney park, what would it be?
So kind of similar to the full creative control thing, but maybe not. I don't know. What would you do?
You get creative control for one thing.
Okay. What would it be?
I would bring Disneyland Small World to Magic Kingdom.
Oh, no. You can't bring it over. It's got to stay in Disneyland.
It says I can do one thing.
Oh, no. That belongs in Disneyland. I think Rolly Crump would be devastated if you tried doing that.
I would do it.
Sorry, Rolly. I'm stopping that.
What would you do?
I would actually want to bring back, I guess this is kind of similar to yours. Other than talking about how we would rework Hollywood Studios, I think if I could change anything at Disney Park, it would be bring back, here we go, all the movies from the Mickey's original shorts. And they used to have it at the Magic Kingdom on Main Street. You got to actually go in. They have it at Disneyland. And I think it's one of those things that should be at both parks. Like, I don't think it's moving one to the other. I think it should be at both parks because that's really where it all started. It's fun to watch Steamboat Willie. And I remember going there when I was a kid. It was a small theater and you would go inside off of Main Street and it just set the tone for the day. It was just a reminder of how innocent Mickey is and how he's just evolved in this amazing celebrity icon that we still have so high respect for nowadays. It's just cool to see him in black and white, and that's what I remember. I wish they would do that.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, so
all right.
I would change that.
All right, let me announce the winner for the YouTube channel.
All right,
remember, go over to our YouTube channel Tuesday nights 8 p.m. Leave a comment with our videos. We hang out there in the comments. We may even start doing a couple lives there, so
we might try.
Be on the lookout for those. But the winner from last week's contest was...
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. We have...
That's not quite a good drum roll, sorry.
That was really not that
I
great.
know, I don't have much space here.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Ashley Rogers.
All right.
Congratulations. You are the winner.
Great. We're all winners, but you won a t-shirt.
Yes.
Yes.
Email us info@unlockingthemagic.com with your mailing address and shirt size, and we will get that right out to you. Again, if you want to check out our YouTube channel, Unlocking the Magic on YouTube. Also, Patreon. We answered a bunch of Patreon questions from this podcast here. If you want to join us in Patreon, it's $5.
So much
hang
fun.
out with us. It's fun. Extra podcasts, private Facebook group. We kind of pop up there live once in a while. Kind of surprise them.
Little behind the scenes there. We share some photos that we probably would never share.
We won't ever share out on the regular feed. So if you want to support the podcast and join us inside Patreon, we would love to have you in there.
Yes. All right.
Thank you guys for the questions. Keep them coming. info@unlockingthemagic.com is how you get a hold of us. And I guess we'll see you on the next podcast episode.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
See ya.